Welcome to the webinar, everybody. Feel free to put your questions into the chat. We do have a lot to cover today, so I don't want to take any time away from Ryan. So we'll actually have to get to those questions after the webinar. We'll send you an email about that. But for right now, I'll just pass it over to Ryan. So Ryan, take it away.
All right, welcome everyone. This is the 2020 Security Overview from C3 Technology Advisors. Today we're going to talk about some notable security breaches that happened this year, some common mistakes that may have led up to why these individuals and these organizations were in the news, and some suggestions, tips, tricks on detection, protection, and hopefully helping you be able to recover. A little intro, C3 is a technology advisory firm. We take an agnostic approach to really helping educate and help our clients make really great technology buying decisions. My role here at C3 is a technology engineer. I focus on cybersecurity, infrastructure as a service, and most everything, if it's got the cloud attached to it, I'm in there. So before we get started, just one small disclaimer. I'm not going to talk about FireEye. I'm not going to talk about SolarWinds. Huge subjects, great information that's developing. Like many people in the security industry right now, I think we've all got a bit of anxiety and some. We're a little bit frightened with what might be to come. But I know there's some great techniques, some tools, lots of processes out there to help figure out what may be coming our way and how to prevent that. So not going to go through a lot of PowerPoint here. Really want to keep it simple, but let's start by talking about dark web data dumps. If you're not familiar with these, what these are really large collection of databases, records of people's names, addresses, birth dates, home addresses, everything about a person that could really pinpoint you and make you a target, really make you or the organization you work for a target. Shiny Hunters, I think, was probably, in my opinion, the standout for this year. They really flew under the radar for quite a while until about the May and July timeframe. By July, literally the headline was, "I've made enough money now. Here's 386 million more records for free." They really just offered these databases for sale from as little as $1,500 per databases on up. Homechef.com. As a suggestion, I had a homechef.com account. I wasn't using it anymore. I signed up, I tried them. It just wasn't for me. I actually went through and requested that my account be deleted, closed. Took a couple days, a few emails back and forth. But if you're not using some of these sites, suggestion, contact support. See if you can just delete your account, have your information removed from their databases. Dave.com, this was one that probably didn't hear a lot about, but a financial institution, a banking institution. Again, these are any organization out there can be a victim to this, no matter the size, no matter the industry, whoever you are. Really, the dark web is out there. It's a marketplace. It's a marketplace for trading information, trading all this personal information, organizational information, not just credit cards and all that, but really our identities. Our identities are on sale, and they're used against us. So a few things on the right here. We have a good number of suppliers, some really great standout suppliers that help with dark web monitoring, really lets you know what data is available for sale. Do your employees, have they been using their business email to sign up for services like a Home Chef? In the past, it's been Adobe or LinkedIn. MyFitnessPal has been up on there, a whole slew of them, so many to talk about. But I think what it really comes down to is helping educate your users, your staff, on keeping some good boundaries, separating personal signups with business signups. So My name at c3techadvisors.com isn't, my banking login, isn't some other sort of personal information that ends up getting mixed in between. And then really, um, like a lot of things this year, we've really had some compounded effects. Multi-factor authentication, definitely high on the list to help as a part of a strong identity and access management strategy. It's not going to be the end all be all to everything, but getting our arms around identity of the person, not just what network we're connected to or what device we're using, but what systems should I be able to access? Inside those systems, where should I be able to go? Am I doing something that I shouldn't be able to do? We want to be able to get more rich contextual information, and multi-factor authentication really helps ensure that you are who you say you are by something that you know, your password, and something that you have, one of those push apps like on iOS or Android. Uh, Try to use those over SMS. I know there's a lot of talk about hacking SMS messages, and yes, it's possible. Personally, I think you have to be a pretty big target in order to have to go against that. Register nice and securely to your authentication database is really the best way to go. The other thing, phishing, security training, really continuous micro training, getting our staff aware of these threats and not have it be monotonous, not have it be like you must watch this 30-minute video. Let's make it fun, let's make it competitive, let's get them on a platform where they can rank against others in the organization or just others in general and see, how am I doing, how is my knowledge, how are my capabilities stacking up to help protect my organization and myself. On a side note, I think a lot of this information that we end up teaching our staff on how to save business records from being compromised, our customer records from being compromised, can also be applied to their personal life. And that's a great service that you can do. So not only are you helping them protect the business, but they're going to go home and they're going to teach themselves, their spouses, their kids, better cybersecurity practices. Next is business email compromise. Huge uh, tactic out there. The cost out there is staggering. Over 5 years, they estimate just for U.S. businesses alone, $2.1 billion it's cost. During the third quarter of this year, as you can read, these attacks are increasing in volume. They're becoming more strategic, more tactical on where they're going after. And these are sophisticated scams. They're gathering information from phishing attacks, from these dark web data dumps, all this intelligence that they're gathering, all these threat actors. It doesn't take too much time, honestly, to buy a couple databases, piece some things together. It might sound a little bit sleuthish, but I think if you were motivated enough that you needed money and you had a little bit of programming skills, getting in there, finding some things out with the company, and then just simply, as an example, I was on a call and someone in accounts payable got a call from someone purporting to be from a SaaS-based CRM supplier. Our payment system has changed, and we need you to update the ACH records on where payments are going to. It doesn't sound right. Luckily, there was enough questions that were asked, and there was a paper process, and not just a complete automated where one person could go in and change these routing numbers, but potentially, and I know this has happened many times, where someone gets a call and says, our numbers have changed, or transfer money here or whatnot. Large amounts of money just get wiped out of your bank account. It's really more prevalent out there than what gets reported in the public, mainly because a lot of these don't have to be reported. So again, some suggestions on how to evade this. Building and maintaining a human firewall, involving everybody in security training. Can't really stress it enough. Be suspicious. Be suspicious. Ask questions. Is this okay? I myself, I end up getting quite a few requests a week. Is this a legitimate email? Should I be looking at this? Is this real? Um, I would rather honestly have the question asked of me, is this real, and provide some feedback and to help educate the users, than them accidentally clicking on a link and giving up their information. The other piece that I alluded to, verify the account and the payment changes first. If you're in a position where you can go into your ERP system or your account system and make payment changes or account changes, uh, double check with somebody first. Call them on the phone. I know it's really tough right now. We're probably not in an office where you can just walk over to your COO or whoever has actual signing authority, but um, verify in person, over video, even on the phone. Double check that this really needs to happen and it's legitimate. Couple things on the technical side. DKIM, domain keys, identified mail. These are settings that you use with your DNS settings and your email provider. If you've got some email security software in front of, say, Office 365 or Google G Suite, you can do it there as well. But it really helps detect forged sender addresses. So somebody trying to impersonate, saying, I'm sending as my address at C3 Technology Advisors, that's going to help stop those. It's going to help ensure that the server sending is really registered to the domain and things line up properly. Similar with DMARC, domain-based message authentication reporting, really another step in the process to block email attempting to spoof the actual domain. Works both ways there and helps provide some reporting and some compliance around there. The third thing to help with business email compromise, Office 365 alerting. We are an Office 365 shop, trying to look for failed login attempts, looking at where people are logging in so that conditional access, should they be logging in from Yugoslavia or other kind of countries like that. Those are those kind of alerts that you want to look for, but it's difficult. There are providers, there are services out there that can do that, and those are great ways to stop these kind of attacks from coming. The other big one, automatic forwarding. If you don't have an alert set up, so if someone gets into their mailbox and just says, I want to forward all of my email to my Gmail account, you want to be notified of that right away. It's one of those high indicators that somebody's account has been compromised. All right, and now we're going to get to the meat of this. So ransomware, there's so much of it out there. The headline here, ransomware accounted for 41% of all cyber insurance claims in the first half of 2020. There's so many different kinds, there's so many different variants out there. One thing that you can be certain of is it's not going away. It's not going to get any easier. What you want to do is have the right multi-layered approach, the right set of tools out there, the right processes to help your people be able to see this, detect it, respond to it, and then protect everything and really keep your business moving. So let's walk through this list here. Starting with Travelex in January, really crippled the currency exchange services. Incidentally, I ran into this while I was traveling in January, went on my honeymoon, and when we landed in London, Travelex was not open. Luckily, there was other currency exchanges, but then once I got data working, I was like, wow, this is going to be a little bit tough. But took them, not only Travelex, but this is a supply chain issue. There's many other services that point back or rely on Travelex's core services to run their business off of. So if you subscribe to a SaaS provider and that SaaS provider goes down, you're in it as well. You're affected as well. Huge, huge. Um, Estee Lauder. This one happened in February. It was because of middleware. Think of it, you've got your database and your application, but this middleware is maybe pulling out for reporting. Maybe it's different integration software with warehouse management system. It's some sort of software that sits in the middle between your application and your database. And this middleware was exposed to the internet. I think there was 400 and some odd million records potentially exposed. Um, just someone left the doors wide open on that one. Marriott, they had a really rough year in March. Twice hit with in March. Ransomware uh, and data being exfiltrated from their systems. 10 million records, about 10 million records in total. The U.S. Small Business Administration in April, just as those PPP loans were starting to come out, all that relief for the COVID was starting to come out, 8,000 loan applications. Again, personally identifiable information, names, social security numbers, all that really highly protected, really sensitive information about their businesses, about their finances, bank accounts, all that, all those 8,000 loan applications out there in the wild, and talk about compound issues. Blackbaud in May. This one is one that really irritates me. They paid ransom to prevent their data from being leaked. Not only that, but I ended up getting, I think, 3 different breach notifications through different healthcare providers. And the common theme that really runs through many of these is they give you a time frame. The breach occurred sometime between May 1st and June 2nd. Can't really say how many records or whatnot. It's almost as if they really, well, it is. They don't really know when the attack actually happened, what was actually stolen, because they don't have visibility into their network, into their systems to really see what was going on during that time. Really scary. So the Blackbaud one, Blackbaud, they donations. I remember them working with nonprofits, a lot of nonprofits, foundational fundraisers, and that's a lot of personal information, a lot of I'll just say a lot of wealthy individuals and their informations, their bank accounts, their donation histories, a lot of information. So a couple healthcare organizations sent me information on what they knew, what they didn't know. Some were sooner to the game, some were pretty late to the game. I think I got my last Blackbaud related. I think it was through October that I've got my last one. So there's definitely a delay in breach notifications I noticed as well. Claire's in June, card skimming. This happens when malware, some sort of ransomware, some sort of malware gets into their systems, and at the credit card machine, when you scan your credit card, not so much with the chip or the tap function, but when you scan the credit card, that magnetic stripe can actually read the contents of that, get your credit card number, all of that information, and then they just steal that and then start making other purchases on there. I think that might be why I got a Capital One alert for purchases in Florida, and I have not been to Florida recently, that's for sure. EDP, they were hit with Ragnar Locker, 10 terabytes of data exfiltrated. They actually were in their system long enough to remove 10 terabytes worth of customer information, business files, intellectual property. I couldn't even imagine trying to recover from I mean, it would one thing to have your information still, but to know that somebody else has a full copy of it, everything that you've potentially worked for, everything that your employees have worked for to build up that business, everything that your customers depend on, to have it just stolen out from under you and you still have it. Um, pretty scary. University of Utah in August, they paid $457,000 to the ransomware hackers to stop student data from being published. That's how ransomware is changing. That's how these hackers are changing. Now they're saying, okay, maybe you've got some great backup and recovery and some disaster recovery systems and you don't want to pay us. Well, we've exfiltrated your data and now we're going to threaten you to release that publicly. So pay us anyways. And that's what exactly happened right there. The University of Utah did not want to pay. I wouldn't want to pay either, but they also had a commitment to their students to protect their privacy and their information. So they ended up paying, I think, honestly, on the hopes that their data wouldn't be published. Clark County Schools in Nevada in September, they actually refused to pay ransom, and the hackers published their student data online. As a parent, if the school district, I can't imagine being in the shoes of them and having to make that choice. But having my minor children, their information and their identity compromised before they're even 18, before they're even old enough to, I mean, pretty technically, legally, whatever, be able to start to get credit and start a line of finances in their own name, to have that tarnished so early. I yeah, not cool. Barnes and Noble in October, stolen records were leaked online. Barnes and Noble said, "I don't think you really have our data," and the hacker said, "Oh yes, we do." Click the button, and they proved it by publishing their information online. Needless to say, I think they did end up getting some ransom. It was paid for the ransom, and nothing else was leaked online. Campari, in November, this one was pretty interesting. An Italian beverage maker, the hacker actually took out Facebook ads to pressure the internal staff to pay the ransom. So they were so socially engineered and so in tune with who worked in the organization that they knew where their Facebook. They might have already friended them on Facebook, maybe, but they took out targeted ads and went after the people in this organization to make sure that they knew that they were serious. They wanted money out of this organization, and they weren't going to stop until they got it. Very, very interesting. Again, these hackers, they're out for it. They're going to do anything they can with the tools that they have available. Last one here, Vancouver TransLink in December. Ransomware took down all of their infrastructure. Public transportation, Metro cards, their ticketing system was down for 2 days. That would create some major issues. Transportation industry, energy industry. We've seen some of this already. I think there's some reports of it out there already that's happened, but I just, what would happen if the street lights went out, all the traffic lights went out? That's going to be interesting. So as we wrap up here, some thoughts on how to protect yourself. I start with vulnerability management and scanning. Really honestly, kind of getting back to basics. Asset and patch management. I was just sitting through a Verizon security webinar, and they said it's still fascinating and slightly scary how many organizations don't have a true handle on their assets. What's actually allowed to connect into their environment? How many laptops, how many desktops do they have? Who's working from home, who's not working from home, and that bleeds into patch management. So what you don't know, you can't manage. What you can't see, you can't protect. And on the likewise, what you don't know, you can't see and can't react to. So asset and patch management, it's got to be high on the list. It seems in 2020 going into 2021 like this would be something that would be easy breezy and just done, but it is still a struggle. It is difficult. It's not easy, but it's got to be one of those foundational things. Continuous vulnerability scanning on the WAN, on the LAN. Traditionally, a lot of organizations will do a once a year external penetration test, maybe an internal vulnerability. But if this year has really taught us anything, it's change happens when it's ready. Nobody could have really. I don't think really anybody had a crystal ball on what was going to happen this year as far as a major shift from work from home and people just trying to get work done and trying to keep on with their lives. But when we bring our devices home in this instance, there's other home devices. There's IoT devices. There's personal devices, all different patch levels, all different types of operating systems. Not having your corporate laptop or your business laptop uh, regularly connected and able to be remotely managed leaves it open and vulnerable, which in turn, when you connect to your VPN, you're really just potentially backpacking things into your corporate environment. So those two things, I really think if you need some assistance on it, please let us know. We've got some great solutions there. Manage detection and response, both for known and unknown threats. Look for behavioral-based systems. Signatures are in the past. Looking at things for hash values and signatures, waiting for things to be detected and then a fix or a vaccine. It's just not quick enough. When you can literally get your browser hijacked by malware and it starts sending command and control responses out there and get you infected and just it happens too fast. It happens too fast. You need something behavioral based that's looking at saying this is not normal activity. This isn't a place where the user typically goes. The site or these IPs are already on our blacklist. Most of these organizations that do manage detection and response also have a really great, well-staffed security operations center to be able to say, in 15 minutes or less, we're going to alert you. And when you get a call from us, it's serious. Pick up the phone. We need to stop this now. Many of them, a few in particular, will do unlimited incident response. So if there is an incident, like I described, where you get malware on a machine and it needs to be remediated, you don't have to worry about retainers. You don't have to worry about how do I come up with time and material agreements or anything. It's just included as part of the service. Last thing here, backup recovery, disaster recovery as a service. Look for immutable backups. Too many organizations have fallen prey when ransomware hits that their local backups, regardless of various different technologies, there's many technologies that can all suffer because of this. You want something that has immutable backups. Once it's written once, it cannot be overwritten. It cannot be changed once it's committed to disk. The 3-2-1 backup strategy, 3 copies, production, backup, and an air gapped across 2 different media types, disk, cloud, and archival, and 1 copy of that offsite. I'll even say a little bit further is if you're using encryption on databases or really sensitive customer information, from a past experience, having a backup account with a super long password that's written by hand in an envelope placed in the business owner's desk or a safe somewhere off site, that is kind of your oh crap card, if you will. Those kind of techniques, they do pay off. They do end up saving the day. So don't discount them. And test, retest. It is one thing to back up, but if you have not actually done a recovery, if you have not actually moved your systems over and tried to do an actual disaster test and walked through that, please put it on your calendar, walk through it. The last thing you want to do is walk in on a Tuesday morning, find that all of your machines are locked up, and the last time you tried to recover something was just a single file, and now you have no local backups. Your offsites can't be reached. Having to rebuild Active Directory, having to rebuild your ERP system, your financial system, recover your customer database, starting from scratch in 2021 is not on anybody's radar. So please retest your disaster recovery platform. We're always here to help as well, give you some really great sound advice, and really we're here to help. So with that, thank you. This was our overview. I'm looking forward to some comments, some suggestions on what else you'd like to see. I'm planning to do some FireEye and some SolarWinds review. I'm going to wait until next week. There's a lot of great information coming out about that, and I don't want to start speaking before the facts start to come out. So look for some more. Appreciate everybody's time, and have a great day.